The private jet's landing gear squealed on the tarmac, a sound that usually meant another colossal deal was sealed, another few million added to the offshore accounts. But today, for Richard Rick Sterling, it was just the sound of a 6-year emotional void rushing in to fill the silence. Rick, the ruthless 52-year-old CEO of Sterling Global Tech, stepped off his Gulfstream V into the blistering heat of a late Californian afternoon. He was back in the States 3 months earlier than planned from a European expansion trip, and the sudden, chilling thought of his daughter, Lily, had cut through his business focus. He'd missed her first-grade graduation and her 6th birthday, all sacrificed at the altar of quarterly earnings. Now, he was rushing not to the planned Palo Alto summit, but to the gilded cage he called home in the Hamptons. You think money buys you time, but sometimes money just buys you more things to miss. He had no idea his daughter was currently seeking refuge in a cramped space beneath the main staircase. His heart would soon shrink at the sight of her frail, sickly state, but what he was about to discover was far more terrifying. The culprit was the very person he loved and married not long ago, his new wife, Sarah. Rick's wedding to Sarah Jenkins felt like a definitive statement that his life had entered a completely new chapter. After years of solitude following the passing of his first wife, Eleanor, he was convinced that Sarah, intelligent, socially adept, and elegant, would help him repair the immense emptiness. The whole city of New York had buzzed about the union, a successful magnate, a captivating young socialite wife, and his daughter, Lily, whose eyes only saw her father as her entire world. However, beneath the polished veneer of this perfect American family, the first subtle cracks were starting to appear. When Sarah moved into the Sterling mansion in East Hampton, she crossed the threshold with a radiant proprietary smile. She surveyed the home slowly, her hand lightly tracing the walls, instantly affirming control over her domain. "This home needs a fresh energy," she declared in her polished, firm voice. Rick smiled, taking it as a good sign, a wife keen to update and streamline their life. He was easily distracted by her efficiency, a trait he valued above all else in his business dealings. Sarah initiated changes, one calculated detail at a time. She removed the traditional Persian rugs, replaced the heavy drapes, and brought in minimalist modern furniture. Only one room was ordered sealed, Eleanor's old study. Lily pleaded to keep it, whispering that it was where her mother used to read her bedtime stories. Sarah knelt, stroked the girl's hair, and said in a light, ethereal voice, "We must move on, Lily. The past is just a distraction. It's time to focus on your new life with me." The look in her eyes as she spoke sent a noticeable shiver through the spacious room, and the chilling focus of her gaze was something Lily would never forget. Initially, Sarah was attentive to Lily, bringing designer toys and expensive treats, but each gift came with a subtle, transactional stipulation. "If you are a good girl, Mommy will let you keep this. We only reward good behavior, Lily," she'd often say sweetly, but with a clear undertone of conditional control. Lily didn't fully grasp it, but she knew instinctively she had to work hard not to displease Sarah. The pressure to perform for love was a heavy burden for a 6-year-old. Rick, meanwhile, was buried in his work, convinced his 2 most important women were bonding. He often told his colleagues, "Sarah is incredibly thoughtful. Lily is finally learning to open her heart again. It's a huge relief to know she's got things under control at home." One quiet evening, Lily accidentally knocked over the new, custom-framed wedding photo. The glass shattered with a sharp, sickening sound, and the image of Rick and Sarah slid across the hardwood floor. Sarah stood motionless for a few seconds, then picked up the picture. Her smile was gone, replaced by a look so icy it made Lily tremble slightly. There was no verbal reprimand, but the resulting silence was far more oppressive than any shouting could have been. It was the silence of pure, unadulterated cold fury. From that day forward, Sarah's interactions with Lily ceased when Rick was around. Whenever Rick asked his daughter, "Did you have a good day, sweetie?" Sarah would interject with a faint, perfect smile. "She's a little under the weather. Must be the seasonal allergies we get in the Northeast. Nothing a little rest won't fix." Every one of her answers was reasonable, impeccable, and completely convinced Rick. He failed to notice Lily becoming quieter, rarely leaving her room, and the palpable caution that had settled in her eyes. It was a masterful performance of manipulative concern. A few weeks later, Sarah mentioned wanting to upgrade the estate's security. She installed additional heavy-duty smart locks on the main bedrooms and replaced the entire keyless entry system. Rick saw nothing strange in it. Security was paramount for a man of his stature, and a wife wanting to protect their sanctuary only gave him peace of mind. "I just want everything secured, darling. You know how important privacy is for us." She purred, smiling, completely oblivious to the fact that those very locks would soon confine the dearest thing in his life. He signed off on the expense without a second thought. Sarah embraced the mansion's silence. Every morning, she walked the long corridors, checking every door, every blind. Everything had to be precisely in the order she dictated. No more, no less. Eleanor's memories slowly faded into oblivion. Rick didn't notice, and Lily watched silently, as if fragments of her mother's memory were being systematically deleted from her life. One night, after Rick had retired, Sarah slipped into his study. She stood before the large mirror, removed her wedding ring, and examined it for a long moment. In the reflection, the woman looked nothing like the gentle soul Rick thought he knew. Her face was expressionless, her lips curved into an enigmatic smile, the smile of someone fully aware they held total control. She put the ring back on, adjusted her hair, and whispered a promise to her reflection. "Now, it's all mine. The house, the fortune, and soon, the freedom." In the silent stillness of the mansion, the grandfather clock ticked relentlessly. In the adjacent room, Lily tossed and turned, clinging to her mother's old worn cloth doll. The Sterling mansion remained brightly lit, as always, but the warmth had gradually seeped out, replaced by a thick, suffocating silence. Rick still believed everything was fine. He left early, came home late, and whenever he opened the door, Sarah greeted him with a perfectly serene smile. Nobody mentioned the small incidents that occurred in his absence, things only Lily witnessed. "You must not run inside the house, Lily. It is highly undignified," Sarah would say, her voice soft, her eyes admitting no debate. Lily would halt mid-hallway, her small hands slightly clenched. She'd nod, slowing her footsteps, trying not to let them echo too loudly. Sarah would watch her with a barely perceptible smirk. "That's better. This house needs quiet, Lily. We maintain a certain standard here." Mealtimes changed. Sarah insisted Lily eat before the adults to streamline the cleaning process. The massive 12-seater dining table now had a small, solitary place, set for the girl near the kitchen entrance. Sarah stopped joining her, simply leaving the small meal and walking away. Lily ate in silence, hearing the distant clinking of adult silverware from the next room, trying to finish quickly so she wouldn't be called out. One day, Lily asked, "Where is Miss Maria, the cook? I miss her cookies." Sarah didn't look up, still scanning her copy of the Wall Street Journal. She left. Good domestic service is rare and expensive these days and frankly unnecessary. "I have to be frugal for your future, you know. We need to cut down on frivolous expenses." "But I can help," Lily offered. "Help can wait. You just need to behave and stay out of the way." From that day, the house felt empty. The sound of the vacuum, the familiar voices of the cleaning staff, and friendly chatter vanished. All that remained was the sound of Sarah's slow, deliberate footsteps on the wood floor, as if controlling the very heartbeat of the house. Lily started doing everything herself, washing her clothes, folding her blanket, tidying her desk. Sarah neither forbade nor praised her, only offering a terse glance and a concise, "You are learning to take care of yourself. Good. Self-sufficiency is paramount in life." The compliment was so chilling it made Lily feel invisible. One morning, Lily looked for her old teddy bear, a gift from her mother on her 4th birthday, but the cupboard was empty. Sarah stood in the doorway, holding a cup of tea. "Stop looking." Moths must have gotten to it. It was cheap, really. But it was new when Mommy gave it to me. Why hold on to old things, Lily? We should let the past rest. It clutters the mind. The girl bowed her head, saying no more. When Sarah left, Lily peeked into the trash container outside the kitchen and saw a small fabric ear peeking out from the pile of refuse. She silently tried to reach for it, but the strong smell of bleach forced her to let go. Since then, Lily stopped looking for her old possessions. When Rick asked, Sarah always offered brief updates. She prefers to be alone. I think she is reading a lot more. It's a phase. Oh, that's great. I was still worried about her sensitivity after her mother passed. Don't worry. I know how to make her more resilient. She needs to toughen up. Her certainty reassured Rick. He'd kiss his wife's forehead, trusting that Sarah was helping his daughter mature in his absence. Sarah gradually intervened in Lily's education. She went to the school, spoke to the principal, claiming Lily was unwell and needed to study at home. Then she emailed the district requesting an extended leave. Rick only found out when Sarah told him, "I think pulling her out of school temporarily is best. I can teach her more thoroughly at home. School is too distracting. Are you sure?" She loved school, Sarah. School only makes her fragile. Trust me, Rick. I have her curriculum all planned out. He nodded. If you think it's sound. In the afternoons, Lily would sit by the window, staring out at the garden where her father used to play with her. Every time she tried to go out, Sarah appeared, gentle but unyielding. Stay inside, Lily, it's too windy. You'll catch a cold easily. You are quite frail. But I just wanted to pick some flowers for the vase. There will be flowers tomorrow, too. Now, go back to your room. Immediately. The garden door was secured, the key kept in a drawer only Sarah controlled. Gradually, Lily grew accustomed to watching without being allowed to leave. At night, Sarah routinely checked every room before bed. When she reached Lily's room, she would open the door silently and peer in. Are you asleep yet, Lily? Yes, ma'am. Sarah would nod, take the key and lock the door from the outside. Just for safety, Lily. Don't worry. We need to ensure no one unauthorized gets in here. The sound of the deadbolt became Lily's lonely nightly ritual. Dia tras dia, the house remained brilliantly lit, but devoid of human warmth. Lily learned to walk lightly, speak softly, and even breathe slower, terrified of incurring Sarah's displeasure. One evening, Rick called from the airport. Where's our girl, Sarah? Let me talk to her for a second. It's been a tough week. Sarah's voice was smooth. She's already asleep, darling. She's been reading so much lately, tuckers her out. You really have a wonderful gift with her, Rick. She's so studious. After the call, Sarah sat at the dining table, sipping wine, the cold, calculating smile back on her face. A few weeks later, the major news came. Rick was required in Europe for 3 months to lead a critical expansion project. During dinner, he expressed his hesitation. Sarah was quick to assuage him. Of course you must go, Rick. It's a huge career step and I'm so proud of you. I'll handle everything at home. Absolutely everything. Rick looked at his wife, feeling reassured. Only thing is, Lily, she's so small. Sarah put down her glass. Don't you trust me, darling? I care for her as if she were my own flesh and blood. Before leaving, he entrusted Sarah with all his financial papers and the authority to manage their assets. The moment Rick's car disappeared the next morning, Sarah's smile vanished. She bolted the front door, went straight to Rick's study, opened the safe, and called her accomplice. Victor, you were right. He trusts me completely. The asset transfer. Start the first phase immediately. Lily, hiding near the stairs, heard the unfamiliar name, Victor, and her stepmother's deeper, more determined voice. Sarah saw her, stopped, and managed a fleeting smile. Were you eavesdropping, Lily? I just wanted to ask when Daddy is coming back, Lily whispered. Sarah knelt, placing a hand on Lily's shoulder. Your father is very busy securing your financial future. Don't call or bother him. He needs his focus. The next day, Sarah hired contractors to clear the second floor for renovations. Where will I stay, ma'am? Lily asked. Sarah pointed to the storage space beneath the main staircase. You can temporarily move into the little space under the stairs. Just for a few days, Lily. And remember, Don't leave without permission. The paint fumes are toxic and I don't want you getting sick. Those few days stretched into weeks. The small door under the stairs became Lily's entire world. Sarah delivered simple meals, placing them outside the door without a word. If Lily asked about her father, the response was always the same. Your father is busy. Sarah spent her time in the study, systematically transferring money from the joint account to a separate private one. No one would ever suspect a devoted wife, she convinced herself with each click of the transfer button. Lily found a broken pencil and carefully wrote a note on a piece of old paper. Daddy, I miss you. Mom says I can't call. Just want to know if you are okay. Sarah snatched the note, tearing it in half. Never contact anyone without asking me first. Your father needs his peace and quiet. Consider this a lesson in obedience. After that, the home's landline number was changed. Rick called periodically. How are my girls? Is Lily doing well? She's wonderful, darling. I'm even teaching her French reading. A true prodigy. In her dark corner, Lily began to count the days by making tiny scratches on the wall with a hairpin. Each mark was a day her father hadn't returned. The silence was only broken by the soft, distant classical music Sarah played in the living room while reviewing her transaction logs. One evening, Rick sent a gift, a silver locket engraved with, "Love you always, Dad." Sarah opened it, stared, wrapped it, and locked it away. She loves it, darling. Wears it all the time, she lied smoothly. Lily remained oblivious. Lily knew she had to try again. She found another small piece of paper. Her writing was shaky but full of urgency. Daddy, I'm under the stairs. I'm scared. Please come home. She folded it, took her mother's old porcelain doll, and carefully tucked the note inside the heart-shaped locket on the doll's neck. This was her last fragile hope. The next morning, while Sarah was out, Lily quickly snuck out of her hiding place. She walked silently through the unnervingly quiet house, placing the doll on the decorative shelf near the main entrance, exactly where Rick always tossed his keys. The doll was positioned to face the door, easily visible. Daddy will see me, she whispered to the doll, then scurried back into the suffocating darkness of her closet. The return. That same afternoon, across the Atlantic, Rick received an urgent project update. The final meeting concluded 2 weeks ahead of schedule. He could return home immediately. He didn't call Sarah. He decided to surprise them. Book the first available flight. I want to be home tomorrow. He texted his secretary. The next day, Rick's car pulled up to the Hamptons mansion. He got out, flowers in hand, anticipating Sarah's smile and Lily's excited scream. But the house was silently closed. No lights were on. He used his key. The front door creaked open. The house was dark, utterly silent, and smelled faintly of old dust and fresh paint. Sarah? Lily? I'm home! No response. He checked the living room. Everything was in place, but a thin layer of dust coated the glass surfaces. How odd, he murmured. Then his gaze fell upon the shelf near the entrance. He saw it. Lily's porcelain doll, the one possession she cherished from Eleanor. He picked it up. As he turned it, he heard a slight rattle. He noticed the tiny slot on the doll's heart-shaped locket. Gently, he pried it open. A minuscule folded piece of paper dropped onto the Persian rug. Rick's hands were trembling as he unfolded it, his eyes fixed on the scrawled faint words. Daddy, I'm under the stairs. I'm scared. Please come home. Rick froze. The air grew thick. He dropped the flowers and ran to the staircase. Lily, where are you? He heard nothing but his own frantic breathing. He knelt, noticing the large wardrobe completely sealing the lower section. He pressed his hand against it, feeling a faint, chilling draft. My God, he yelled, then began to pound the wardrobe. Sweetheart. Stay right there! Daddy's coming! A faint, muffled thump answered from behind the wood. Rick grabbed a heavy fire poker from the hearth and began slamming it against the wardrobe. Wood splintered, muscles strained, and with a final furious crack, the wood broke, revealing a small, locked door. He kicked it repeatedly until the lock shattered. Light poured into the tiny space. There was Lily, curled up in a thin, old blanket. She squinted at the light, then her eyes widened. Daddy, is that really you? She whispered, her voice frail. Rick lunged forward, gathering her into his arms. She was icy cold, feather light from neglect. He couldn't speak, his throat thick with choked sobs. "Daddy's here." "I am so sorry, sweetheart." "I should have been here." Lily buried her face in his shoulder, her breath weak. "I knew you would come home." Rick looked around the cramped, dark space. A tiny cot, and a wall covered in small, sharp scratch marks. He knew instantly those marks were her calendar, her desperate countdown. He carried Lily out, laying her on the living room sofa. "Where is Mommy, Dad?" Lily asked, the question a fresh, sharp stab of pain. "I'm looking for her too, darling," Rick replied, his voice strained. He ran to his study. The safe was open, financial documents scattered everywhere. He quickly scanned them, his eyes stopping at transfer papers with a foreign beneficiary's name. His fist clenched. He checked his joint account online. Lines of transfers filled the screen. Half the joint savings were gone, moved through a complex web of shell corporations. "Sarah, you didn't just betray me. You severely damaged the only child I have, the very reason I built all this," he muttered, his voice raw with fury and anguish. He immediately called the police and his private attorney, Matthew. "Matthew, I need you tonight. Asset misappropriation and forged signatures. I have all the evidence, the documents and the witness." Sirens began to wail in the distance. The confrontation. Rick stepped out to meet the officers. Moments later, Sarah's car pulled into the driveway. She saw the police cars and the splintered wood under the stairs. "Rick, when did you get back? Why are the police here?" Rick's eyes were cold steel. "I seem to have returned just in time to stop a full-scale financial and emotional heist." She stammered, trying to regain composure. "You're misunderstanding. She likes to play down there. A child's fantasy. Her own space." Rick's laugh was bitter. "A windowless closet, locked from the outside, all day? You call that fantasy? I just pulled her out of there. She was too weak to even stand, Sarah. What kind of person starves a child for a financial scheme?" Sarah backed away, her voice straining for calm. "You're overwrought, Rick. You should let me explain. It was all a misunderstanding with the housekeeper. No need. You can explain the confinement and the $3 million transferred out of our joint account to the officers." He pointed toward the wreckage. "Explain this signature," he said, holding up a forged document. Her composure completely vanished, replaced by visible panic. "I only wanted to reorganize the accounts. Just for safety? Bad for who? Only you and your accomplice, Victor." She remained silent, tears welling up. "I just wanted my own life back. You and the child constantly took up everything." "I was trapped." Rick stared at her. "You endangered my daughter for your greed. That's not being trapped. That's being a criminal." He pointed toward the door. "You should leave this place before the officers take you in handcuffs." Sarah dropped her shopping bag and fled. Rick called his friend Jamie. "Jamie, get a doctor and a car here immediately." "It's Lily. Get her to St. Jude's Hospital. I'll meet you there." He grabbed the porcelain doll from the shelf, slipped it into his jacket pocket, and walked out. The doll, the silent witness, had saved his daughter. The aftermath. 3 weeks later, the court voided the marriage due to financial fraud and ethical misconduct. Sarah Jenkins lost all inheritance rights and was ordered to return the misappropriated sum. Her reputation was ruined. She was sentenced to time served and forced into community service, a permanent mark on her record. Rick authorized Matthew to handle all affairs, then withdrew from the business world, declaring, "I have nothing left to prove in the boardroom. My priorities are clear now." The Hamptons mansion was sold. Rick transferred the entire proceeds into the Lily's Hope Foundation, dedicated to supporting neglected children. He wanted the house to become a source of healing, not a scar. Lily was discharged, healthier, her eyes brighter. "Where are we going, Daddy?" she asked. "Somewhere full of light, my love, where you can run in the yard, hear the birds, and sleep without fear. A place where locks are only for decoration." They moved to a quiet suburban neighborhood near a small lake. The new house was small, with only 2 bedrooms and a wooden porch, but it was warm and sun-drenched. Lily sat on the porch steps, placing her doll on her lap. "Daddy, I think I'll call her Hope, because she helped me hope." "That's a beautiful, special name, sweetie," Rick smiled. Lily began drawing again, sketching houses with wide windows and clear blue skies. Rick sat with her, seeing the simple, profound joy he had almost missed. He eventually established the Light Foundation, dedicated to children lacking parental care. its logo a sunflower drawn by Lily herself. He personally built a flower garden in the back, planting rows of tall sunflowers that turned to face the sun. One morning, Rick was preparing coffee when the mail carrier brought a letter. It was a thank you note from a family whose son received a heart surgery through the foundation. Rick's heart ached with a warm, comforting pain. He walked out to the garden. Lily was sitting among the towering sunflowers, her small dress stained with sunlight. She held up a finished drawing. A small house, vibrant yellow flowers, and 2 figures standing in the garden. At the bottom, a child's handwriting read, "Daddy and me. Where there is light." Rick sat beside her, gently stroking her hair. "You are my light, sweetheart." The wind blew, the petals swayed, and the dark tale of greed and confinement ended, replaced by a simple, quiet rebirth. The final lesson was learned not in the billions he earned, but in the single, fragile piece of paper that showed him what truly mattered.